All right, Matt Bove here, NFL Owners Meetings. We're in Orlando, Florida. I just realized I have this on. That looks stupid. So we got here earlier today. We just heard from Brandon Beane. I'm recording this at around 7 o'clock. We heard from him a couple hours ago. He actually had a lot to say. This is the first time we've talked to Brandon Beane since the start of free agency. As you would imagine, the first several questions he was asked were about the guys who they needed to part ways with. So Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis they don't bring back. Tre'Davious White was, of course, a big one. Jordan Poyer going to Miami. But I also found it very interesting that with a couple players he did not close the door. Micah, Hyde, and Tre'Davious White, two players he was specifically asked about, two players that he did not say they've ruled out returning. With Tre'Davious White, I mean, we've seen the reports. Trey White has been visiting with other teams. But if he doesn't love what's out there, and he's still available and the Bills could afford him way down the road in June, then they said they would consider it. As for Micah Hyde, this one was even more interesting to me because he kind of really, I wouldn't say he really sold the fact that Micah Hyde could be back, but the way I heard him answer the question made me at least believe that there is a possibility there. He said he likes the safeties that they have added with Mike Edwards, bringing back Taylor Rapp. He said Cam Lewis brings them a lot. They're expecting more out of DeMar Hamlin, a year removed from everything that happened to him. But I thought it was interesting the way he answered the question. I posted that on social media, so you can certainly find the clip with him talking about Micah Hyde. As for some of the other notable things that I took away from Brandon Beane's press conference, one of them was that they were planning on a compensatory third-round pick, and he says the Bills got a raw deal. He says that they talked to the league about it. It was something they were checking in on throughout the course of the season. They were planning on a third-round pick. They end up getting a fourth. I mean, that's a very big difference. A day 2 pick is a significant difference from a day 3 pick. Now, it's still something. It's better than nothing, but they thought it was going to be a day 3 pick. I'm trying to think some other notable things that he said while we were out here today. Oh, I asked him, I thought this was an interesting question, which is why I asked it. I asked him if going into free agency, if they had a certain position that they were trying to address, something that they definitely wanted to improve on, and he said defensive tackle. Now, I kind of asked a follow-up because there's two ways of looking at this. Defensive tackle makes sense because they just did not have a lot of defensive tackles on their roster. They needed bodies. But he also said they are making an effort to get better on the lines. And, of course, defensive line. He said, you know how we build our teams. We like to have talent on the defensive line. That is not an area where we are going to cut corners. That's why they brought back Daquan Jones. That's why they have agreed to terms with Austin Johnson. It sounds like they still have to sign that contract, but he is, in fact, coming. So now you've got two guys who are really good players to go alongside Ed Oliver. He said that doesn't mean we're done at defensive tackle, but they're happy with the progress they've made at that particular position. The Curtis Samuel stuff is interesting. He said knowing what he was able to do with Joe Brady in Carolina and knowing him through the draft process where he was the general manager, he said that went a long way into making us feel comfortable to bringing him in. I would say Curtis Samuel has been their biggest addition over the course of the free agent period. I know it's not a massive splash, but it's not nothing either. So Brandon Beane had a whole lot to say, talked for about 25 minutes. So he spoke tonight. This is Sunday. We'll hear from Sean McDermott more tomorrow. The owners' meeting's going on for the course of the week. As you can tell behind me, this is kind of spring break for the NFL. We're here. We'll have coverage throughout the week on Channel 7. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon. I'm going to go enjoy this weather.